welcome back to hypnotherapieschool.net. I am Kyra Schaefer, and with me here is
Todd Schaefer.
Hi! All right, so we're going to go right into the instant happiness cards that we got from Salad about 15 years ago. The idea for today is you deserve great things, so become willing to receive. Life is amazing despite all the pain and sorrow it can entail. Life is awesome. You are deserving enough of life to have been given that. So anything you might want while you're here is a mere trifle in comparison. The universe gives you all that it gives you without condition, your life, your breath, etc. In fact, you could even take the view that the universe has been throwing good stuff to you your whole life, and the only thing that stopped you from having it is that you've been unwilling to receive it until now. Tell yourself, I am willing to receive all the good that comes to me, then accept any thoughts and feelings which arise. I like that last part, then accept any thoughts and feelings which arise. All right, let's get into it.
Get into it. Yeah, this is a fantastic card. Life is awesome. You are deserving enough of life to have been given that. So anything you might want while you're here is a mere trifle in comparison. The universe gives you everything without condition. Life, breath. The universe has been throwing good stuff to you your whole life. And the only thing that stopped you from having it is that you've been unwilling to receive it until now. Tell yourself, I'm willing to receive all the good that comes to me, then accept any thoughts and feelings which arise. Yeah, that's so good, because the willingness to receive immediately, in my experience with clients and customers, you know, it immediately brings up feelings of unworthiness, feeling unworthy to receive.
Yeah.
And it's a big deal to be able to receive. And it's a muscle that needs to be flexed, and it needs to be strengthened over time. I've noticed it for myself also, even though I feel like if I spot it, I got it. So I've seen a lot of people who have this issue, so I must own it too at some level. But yeah, I think the best thing to do when it comes to being willing to receive is to just practice receiving. Practice acknowledging when you are receiving something. Practice being grateful for the things that you do have. And just dehypnotize yourself, because you're at hypnotherapieschool.net channel. Dehypnotize yourself by paying attention to what already is happening, how you're already receiving. Make a list of the things. If you're intentful to receive more and to get more value and fulfillment out of life, then start by acknowledging what you are receiving, what you are grateful for. It doesn't matter if you don't have a house to live in. Yeah. You can still talk about the gratitude you have from strangers or from anything, that kind of thing. So it starts with acknowledging what you have, is what I'm trying to say. And gratitude is a positive feeling that says thank you to the universe, to your mind, and that thank you always gets reflected back as giving back to you, kind of thing. Yeah. Also, giving is wonderful. They say the more you give, the more you receive. Yeah. And if you say, what can I give? What can I give? Then the energy you put out to the universe is, what can I give, right? And then the universe responds with, what can I give? What can I give? So essentially what happens from your powerful subconscious mind is that when you are focused on giving, and that is your MO, and gratitude and things like that, then you're going to see a lot more of that. You're going to notice a lot more of that when it's happening. So you really want to bring to the forefront, on the front burner of your mind, noticing as much wonderful giving and receiving as you can muster, so that way you notice it when it's already happening all around you. And you'll be subconsciously drawn to places, people, and things where you can go to notice more of this
Yeah.
kind of thing. So what vibration do you want to activate in you to become willing to receive? Now, notice how, let's table that whole thing for a second. Now notice how this is very different from, yeah, I want more, but I just don't feel good about me.
Yeah, right.
That second explanation took 5 seconds. The first one was about 3 or 4 minutes or more. Why is that? Well, because
that's the easy way.
The easy way is just to
out.
put up a limitation, excuse, a problem, and then be done with it. Oh,
Yeah.
Course in Miracles? Yeah, I tried that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah?
Okay,
I
great.
tried it too for about 15 years.
And still trying it.
Right. So saturating yourself, committing, staying accountable, you got to throw yourself into it if you want that thing. And the question is, how much do you want it? Get your entire mind, body, and heart in alignment with that thing that you want, because that's the only way you're going to get to where you ultimately want to go. Otherwise, it's just going to be happenstance. It's going to be passive. It's going to be autopilot.
Yeah.
Things are still going to have a drip drop effect of coming into your life, especially if it's already synonymous with what your beliefs are about receiving and giving. You know you can expect a couple presents at Christmas if that's one of your routines. But every day can be a miracle.
Yeah.
If that's what you want to be coming into your life, it means putting it into the front seat of your life with your focus, with your awareness, with your making positive lists about what you're thankful for. For crying out loud, you're just going to feel better at minimum. So a little bit of proactivity goes a very long way, and things come back a lot bigger than what you even put them out there as. And it's not that much of an uphill climb, because the only part about an uphill climb is just deliberately choosing to feel better, to acknowledge the things that are happening, that you do like, that are happening, that you want more of. And then that right there, you are activating your worthiness to receive.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are choosing to acknowledge the things that are good that are happening.
Yeah.
That is acknowledging your worthiness, and good things are already on the way. So that's how you become willing to receive. That's one way, is by acknowledging what you have and doing it consistently to where it's at the forefront of your mind. When I bought a Jeep, all I saw were Jeeps on the road. Now I don't own a Jeep anymore. I used to love Jeeping, and I don't have it anymore, so I don't really notice any Jeeps on the road anymore. Well, that was my RAS, my reticular activating system, which is a faculty of the mind that you're wanting to activate by keeping all this proactivity so much on the forefront of your mind with what you're wanting to invite into your experience. The energy just keeps building because you're committed and you're consistent and you're acknowledging what you do like, and you're not putting attention onto what you don't like, because the law of the subconscious mind is what you put your attention on increases, right? Every book on the subconscious mind ever written will have that in there.
That's the first line, I think.
That's the first damn line. Everything about Abraham Hicks is the same way.
Yeah.
Joseph Murphy, all that stuff. So put your attention where you want it to be, and if being open to receive and abundance and things like that are important, then really make that your MO. Make that your primary thing that you are deliberately choosing to pay attention to when you're being in life, when you're interacting with others, with yourself, or what have you. And mind you, this is a far cry from well, I don't know if I feel good about receiving.
Right. It is. It's very easy to dismiss yourself.
The energy stops.
Yeah. Right.
It's not a judgment. The energy just stops. As soon as we come up to our unworthiness or feeling awkward and uncomfortable about receiving.
Yeah, receiving or asking for the sale, or
right.
Yeah, or saying, wow, I do deserve to have a home that I feel safe and comfortable and happy in. And,
right.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So you want to keep that energy moving, building, give yourself momentum. You know, believing that you're worthy is allowing yourself to do that.
Yeah.
Believing that you're worthy is allowing yourself to focus on what you want to experience more of, which will eventually lead to you having more, having more things. So keep the energy moving.
Yeah, that's the primary thing. Now, I will say that that last line there, which I think is important, tell yourself, I'm willing to receive all the good that comes to me, then accept any thoughts and feelings which arise. So go ahead, and when you're working with your clients, you ask them to say that to themselves. I'm willing to receive all the good that comes to me, and then ask them what their next thought is. That's going to show you their point of belief. That's going to show you their automatic thought system. That's going to show you what's automatically coming up for them, and their limitations. So when you have them say that to themselves, what are some of the things that come up for you? I'm willing to receive all the good that comes to me, but am I doing everything I'm supposed to do in order to make that happen? But I really don't have the job or situation that it makes that conducive. But I really haven't done all that much, so why would I even bother? But, and whatever other thing the mind comes up with, because then you can start to shift that belief system for them in a gradual way, because we don't necessarily want them to go from 0 to 100, because their brain will reject, their conscious mind will reject it. So instead we want to say, okay, I hear you putting that button there. Okay, so what if you were more willing to receive? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What would that sound like? Can you think of a situation in which it would be really easy for you to receive? Well, if I were in this particular situation, or if a friend of mine was coming over and bringing dinner, I would easily receive that, and I would really enjoy doing that with them. Or I'm bringing dinner and they're cooking, and whatever it might be, find the places that they already are willing to receive, and then help them to gradually increase that incrementally. It might even happen within one session. It might happen within a couple of sessions, but it could happen really quickly. And then just let them guide you in a way, while you're guiding them to more positive outcomes. Yeah, that's kind of what I like to say about that.
Yeah, I think that's more spot on than what I was saying even.
No, I don't think so. I think it was just a different way of saying it. It's kind of that sense of, where are you now?
Right.
And let's build from there instead of where you were. I think people get caught in that, well, I used to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in the bank account, and now I don't have anything because we went bankrupt and bad things happened and everything went to hell. Okay, well, all right. Well, we can't address from where you were, because that's not where you are now, and your mind keeps on trying to pull you back there. So let's find out what's limiting you now so that we can keep moving forward.
Right. Yeah. So I gave an example on a practicum, and Kyra's telling about the functionality.
Yeah.
And I agree. I absolutely agree, because most of us don't know what we're currently believing that's keeping us limited from what we want. So having a practitioner help the client to see what they're saying, it becomes the point of initiation. That's where you can start working with the belief pattern right there. So like Kyra said, what do you want, or why can't you have it? Whatever you said. Yeah.
What are you willing to receive? In what way are you willing to receive? So if they have the limitation where if you say that statement, so this is why that statement is so important. Say this to yourself. I'm willing to receive all the good that comes to me, and be still for a moment. What comes up? I'm willing to receive all good that comes to me. Yeah, but, and wherever that but is, that's the belief, and that's where you start working from.
So that was the point I was about to make.
Yes.
Which is, I just wasn't getting there fast enough, I guess. I'm willing to receive all the good that comes to me, then accept any thoughts and feelings which arise. And I'm just agreeing with Kyra that any thoughts and feelings that arise is what you're currently believing about that thing.
Yeah.
especially if it's a but. A but is the limitation when asked that specific question.
Yeah.
And that's where you get to work with them and use all of the NLP patterns and hypnosis and to get them past that, because that's why they're seeing you, to learn what they're willing to receive. And well, you just told me what you're willing to receive. Your yeah but is exactly where you're at,
Yeah.
Or another thing you said is, well, yeah, but I'm going to have to work my ass off to get there, and da-da-da-da-da. Well, you're believing that it has to take a whole lot of work to get there, or it has to be really, really hard. Well, the thinker thinks, the prover proves. So if it was really hard before, then maybe you're still believing that it's going to have to be really hard now.
And in fact, we know scientifically proven it will not be harder the second time.
Right.
Anything. If you drive to the store, the second time you drive to the store, it's going to be easier.
Right.
You build a business. The second business you build is going to be easier.
Right.
You build one YouTube channel, the second YouTube channel is going to be easier.
Right.
Everything is easier the second time. So people get stuck in, just like you said, oh, this was hard the first time, it's going to be just as hard. No, it might even be not even half as hard as it was the first time.
This is, it sounds like common sense to us, but we've been doing this a while. So, but if you're new, it can be really easy to accept this explanation as to why that's true. And that is, if you do something the first time, everything about it, in addition to why you think you're doing it, is something you're perceiving and absorbing all the bits of information that are involved. And your brain is processing all of it, even though you think you're just dealing with one aspect of it. So there's a lot happening beneath the surface in your subconscious mind and your conscious. And then when you do it a second time, after you've built the first business, some of those patterns are going to be recognizable to your subconscious and conscious mind. So you're not going to have to be thinking so hard. You're not going to have to be sleeping so much because you're not going to be processing the same amount of information. The brain is a very efficient thing. So the second time around, you know what to expect to a certain extent if you're going to build a business for the second time. Knowing what to expect is why your brain isn't working as hard the second time around, which is why it's going to be easier the second time around. You're not having to think about things as if they were the first time doing it, which takes more energy, takes more out of you, right?
Yeah.
The second time may have its challenges, but it's not going to be a carbon copy of the first time.
Yeah, and you already know what your strengths are and your weaknesses are, and you can hire out for your weaknesses. And you're like, okay, so now I have more energy to do the things that I'm strong on, and you just get to know what they are. But if you don't get out there and do it the first time, don't allow yourself to receive, because receiving is not just in goods and services, right? It's in energy and mindset and learning and knowledge and that kind of thing. So you've got a lot going for you, even if you failed the first time at something. Or perceived failure, which is very different than actual failure. Actual failure is not, I believe we've all heard this, is just someone who has actually not done anything. But if you've done something, you've tried something, you just are experiencing a level of success that may not be sustainable long term, instead of failure. But I still use that term every once in a while when I'm deciding to get really hard on myself about things. So if you are in that non-receptive mode, just know that you can switch it on, turn it on, allow yourself, flip the script, do the thing that is going to pull you into that feeling of abundance and noticing more and more of the good things around you that are already happening, like Todd said at the beginning of this program.
Yeah, and the old adage that says, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger," is absolutely true.
It is.
Now it's an exaggeration, but because if you've heard it a lot, that means you haven't gotten killed a lot. So it doesn't really. It's an exaggeration, right? But the point is very, very psychologically true, and that is, if you can get through a situation, you will learn from that situation, because the brain is a learning instrument, and you're processing a lot of information when you're in any situation, especially for the first time. So the second time you do anything, it will be easier than the first time. And if you survive through it, which of course you will, the question is, how much do we struggle through it or thrive through it, or what have you? But you will learn a lot just from having experienced it. You don't even have to try to learn. You just experiencing it, being there when it was happening, is enough for the brain to learn to process an amazing amount of information, more than you are consciously aware of. So what doesn't kill you does make you stronger. Even in a worst case scenario, such as a traumatic experience or a car accident, can't so clear, or something sickness, something traumatic that may cause the brain to develop some PTSD or trauma from. Not ideal, right? But those things can be healed, especially with hypnosis and NLP. But even if you have those things, those are protection mechanisms that the brain produces, so that so that next time it perceives you being in a survival situation, it activates those trauma responses so that you
get out,
so that you get the hell out of there, fight or flight, right? So that's the purpose of trauma and PTSD. Unfortunately, being the thinking beings that we are, we re-traumatize ourselves and make things way bigger of a deal than they need to be, especially considering how easy it is to treat trauma and PTSD and how you can minimize or eliminate it. But I just wanted to let you know that the brain is committed to, all by itself, without you having to do anything, it's committed to being stronger in any situation that even looked like it might have was going to kill you,
right,
by producing those trauma responses and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's a worst case scenario to show you that the brain's set up to serve you, and it does take a little bit to realize if it's serving you the way you want to or not, and just when you know how it works at a basic level, then you know how to play its game and get it to work for you more and more, instead of against you with self-protecting mechanisms and things, which are highly limiting. And that's why you're here listening to this channel, is to avoid and to overcome these self-limitations for yourself and for your clients.
Yeah, you got it. So you deserve great things, so become willing to receive. You deserve great things. And everybody has their different definition of what great is. It could be something very small seeming to someone, and something very large seeming to another person, or something that you might perceive as somebody else is lacking, and you think they should want that thing and more for themselves, or what have you. And it's like, well, since everybody has a unique experience of life and their own map of the territory, the map of their own world, we as practitioners want to find out what that could be for them. And so as you're asking them these important questions, like, what is it that you would like to receive more of? What is it that you would like to bring more of into your life? Because one of the questions that we ask often is, what do you want? And what we almost all the time get from our clients is what they don't want. And they keep telling us what they don't want, what they don't want, and what they don't want. So as a practitioner, you are tasked with being sure that you help bring them back to home. And home base is going to be, what do you really, 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 really want? Because you deserve it. And helping someone see that for themselves, helping somebody really realize that for themselves, that they deserve to have the things that they desire, is very important. And Todd and I have talked about this in the past with each other primarily, but preferences are also a key to that. And he and I have not really had major preferences in the past. We kind of go with the flow. We allow things to happen or unfold naturally, that kind of thing. But when you really look at what you want, because many of us aren't raised with this idea of, oh, yeah, I get to have things, or I want these things, or I desire these things. We don't really, I feel like a lot of us don't really get to that point. And I had a coach one time working with me, and she said, well, you do have preferences. And I'm like, no, I just kind of go with the flow. And she, nope, you've got preferences. And, here's how we know. If you got this choice and this choice, which one would you choose? And I would say, I would choose the better one. And so it's kind of like that mindset of where we go, okay, well, let's present some choices to you so that you can start choosing things for yourself. Otherwise, we can all kind of get stuck in that lackadaisical, well, I got a roof over my head. But you can have so much more, and you deserve those great things. Yeah.
Agreed. You deserve great things, so become willing to receive. Yeah, I think we covered it fairly thoroughly.
Yeah.
And it's just lots of great things. I guess this came up last time we did a video, and that is, as a practitioner, it's really a good idea. I mean, the universe kind of takes care of itself in this regard. You probably won't attract people who need more advanced help than you are needing, than you can provide. You'll probably attract people who are about at the same level or a couple steps behind where you're at. That's just the way it works, but generally speaking. But for you, the practitioner, it's really a good idea for you to take as much responsibility as you can so that you can improve yourself and that you can teach these things to other people, right? If you have more victimhood than the client sitting in front of you, well, they probably wouldn't be sitting in front of you because they wouldn't have even attracted to you, more than likely. But the point is, if you're going to teach anything, it's really great for you to be familiar with having adopted it and implemented it into your life, if at all possible. If you are saying you deserve, if you're my client, I'm saying you deserve great things, so become willing to receive, and we do work on that, but I don't believe that or practice that for myself, well, then it's going to be a little bit inauthentic, and it might feel inauthentic to the client, and I'm not quite sure how I would be that effective in teaching it if I haven't adopted it and practiced it for myself. And I probably wouldn't feel confident about it either.
Yeah.
Now, it's okay to practice teaching what you're learning, so long as you are applying what you're learning for yourself, right?
Right.
And then you can strengthen it in yourself as you're teaching it to other people. So
I think this shows up the most when it's time to ask for the sale as a practitioner. That's the key. That's where the rubber meets the road. So you're saying to this person they need to be open to receive, and you're like, well, I don't really have a price sheet. Just pay me whatever you want. You know what? I really just need a donation. Or whatever. And
sliding
you don't have
scale.
And you don't have any sliding scale. Don't do a sliding scale. Cut that out right now. I stop. You do not let your clients make a decision on what they want to pay you, unless it's more than what you're asking them for.
There's a million reasons why that's
million bajillion. We're gonna get that into that in our business. You'll take a look at our business playlist next. But the main thing here is that if you are demonstrating to them actively in opposition to the thing that you're teaching them, they're going to lose confidence in you, even though you're like, but I'm giving them a deal. Nope, you are actually causing them to lose faith in you. And so
right.
that's a huge thing. It's like, well, sure, come to me to stop drinking, and then as you are leaving the the clinic, you're like, well, I'm gonna go drinking, like there is something.
Hey, you want to join me for a drink?
Right, and it's like, wait a minute. It's the same thing. I know it seems like it's really, really subtle, and it is, but it does speak to the subconscious mind, and so just be sure that you stay aware of that.
Great point. The incongruency is that it may not be that obvious, but I'm not looking at it from a brand new, fresh standpoint either. But it may not be that obvious, but there may feel like an incongruency to you if you're teaching something that you may be good at, and it may be about willingness to receive or deserving things, worthiness, which is a big topic for everyone, and then having the slightest bit of problem asking for that money, like Kyra said. So that feels incongruent, you know? And now it may not be hypocritical per se, but it feels incongruent because it's just, well, how I think Kyra said it more perfectly. How can you teach something that you haven't done, even as a business owner? Now, if you're a hobbyist and you're not worried about creating a business that supports you financially, but you have some other form of income or someone else's income, and you can afford to do your hypnotherapy as a hobby, then making money isn't going to be that big a deal. Asking for the sale or a certain amount of money isn't going to be something that, it's not going to be a chasm that you have to cross, because you can charge whatever you want and you're probably going to be fine. So in those situations, you may not even ask for the sale. Maybe you're doing it for free, or you're doing it for super cheap, or I don't know, Kyra. Would that incongruency show up as much if you didn't have to make any money because you could do it recreationally and you weren't doing it as a business?
That's a good question. I think it goes back to the same thing that you were talking about in the beginning, is unworthiness. So, they may not be, if you are not, this is what happens a lot of times. You'll get clients and things that are working on things that you have, stepped through.
You're a couple steps ahead.
Yeah, you're a few steps ahead. Sometimes you're way more ahead. But usually you have something in the basis or bottom line of what you work on. For me, it was anxiety, and I always attracted anxiety clients. It was just the thing the client I attracted. Yes, I put myself out there as an anxiety expert, but once I really just said, this is who I love, this is who I work with, that's who started coming to me. But when it comes to this receptivity thing, it has its basis in core wounds around worthiness. So, you got to ask yourself a couple of questions. One question would be, why am I being a hobbyist with this? Why am I being? Is it because I don't feel worthy? Do I not feel like I'm in a place where I can believe that I can attract enough clients to make this as a business? So those kinds of things kind of come up in my mind as we're kind of playing around, doing a thought exercise here.
Yeah. I guess it would make more sense that this happens as a hobbyist, because if you're a business owner and you've got skin in the game, and you've invested in yourself to maybe have an office or what have you, well, then you're going to freaking ask for the sale.
Yeah.
You got bills.
Yeah, you got bills. But do know that if you do have people coming to you with a receptivity issue, that it does have that basis potentially in self-worth, but also to look at yourself. Where are you not receiving? What may not be coming your way that you deserve, but it may not, I don't know. I'm really curious about this one, because if you don't need to make the sale, will that client look at you and go, well, they have an issue of receptivity, how can I trust them? I think that they might go, well, they don't have any trouble with receptivity because they're making their money or abundance elsewhere. So it's a kind of
it's hard to think of that. It's hard to evaluate, quantify that, because you're not that client who's looking for self-worth help at that level.
Right.
So that client might be, thinking that hypnotherapist knows more than they do, which they should. they hopefully do.
About whatever issue.
About helping them with an issue kind of thing, whether that's about worthiness or anxiety or whatever. And then, I don't know. I don't think I could speculate. I don't know if the client would really have any wherewithal about any of that, you know.
Maybe not.
Now, it may hit their radar if the therapist is teaching about worthiness and then they can't charge.
Right, and they do have overhead, they do have a space, they do have, they have a business, and they can't quite get there. I think that would be more prevalent.
So, I think that a hypnotherapist wouldn't have a space because they wouldn't have the worthiness to believe that they could even have a business. So why would they have fronted money?
I've seen it happen.
Have you?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. They put...
Well, some people, I'm not like that, but some people buy things because they believe they're going to be successful just in having it, and then they find, oh shit, I still have to ask for the sale.
Right.
And then
they've never worked on any of their worthiness stuff. And so it's a perfect opportunity. Yeah. It's a perfect classroom because it is a sink or swim situation.
A lot of people are outside in. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I'll say I was the same way. I mean, I didn't have any clients. We moved to Arizona. We didn't have any clients. We got office space because I knew. But I had already done it before, so that wasn't that.
You did it before, and we didn't have any other income.
Right. So it was like, this is happening or it's not.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen.
Getting that office space wasn't a wing and a prayer and somebody else having income for us. It was, no. There's no other income. We're doing this. Or one of us, and if not, one or both of us is getting a job immediately.
Yeah.
But that's not, we had the full intent to get it started and keep it going.
Yeah, and I will say this for committed. My own receptivity exercise there was the first client I had, he paid me $10 because I did not have a payment sheet. I wasn't open to receiving. I wasn't in that mindset. I wasn't in the business mindset yet. I hadn't quite gotten there in my emotions. And so, so he's like, well, will you take $10? And I was like, yep, I'll take $10. And then I actually laminated.
You didn't even have prices?
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. I didn't have any. We were just kind of opened up, and he was just kind of walking in, and
I remember the $10.
Yeah, so I took and I laminated that $10, and I was like, okay, universe, I'm open to receiving now. We're gonna get that pricing sheet. We're gonna get our ducks in a row, and I needed that kind of kick in the butt to go. I just spent an hour of my life with somebody for $10. And yes, they walked away feeling great, but I'm sitting here looking at this $10 going, that cannot happen again. And as much as I'm so happy that person felt better, that doesn't, and there was no follow-up, there was no coming back, and so it was like, all right, we gotta make a difference, and I gotta be open to receiving.
Yeah, and that's a consequence of a ready, fire, aim approach.
No, that's a fire, aim.
Fire, aim. But it's okay. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What's important is that action was taken. You took action.
And I got information.
And you got information, and as soon as you got information, that gave you that kinesthetic knowledge of, okay, I have this experience. Now I know what I want to do differently next. I need a price sheet. Yeah. I need to do this, and we immediately made those adjustments. And that's the thing about that is, business is a million different adjustments.
Yeah.
Until you get to where you're wanting to go, and that's a good thing, actually.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. So that was wonderful information to get, and because there were other things on the burner, just getting the office and getting started, and even finding a client to start with.
Business cards and networking.
Business cards and all those things are on the front burner. It's like, oh shit, I didn't even think about a price sheet yet. And then you have that experience, and then it's like, all right, good, something happened, and then, oh yeah, I need a price sheet. This $10 isn't going to pay the rent. But it's a start. It's a start.
Yeah. So being open to receive yourself, open to receiving clients, open to receiving money, open to receiving things, that are going to help promote you and bring you into alignment with your business if that's what you're wanting to do. And as a practitioner at hypnotherapy school, we highly recommend it. But you can certainly do this as a hobby and do it for fun and on the side as well.
Yeah.
And so as you grow that, receptivity muscle, your clients are going to just, I found that the more receptive I became, the more clear I became, the more I was able to serve a lot more clients, a lot more people came to me, a lot more people trusted me to help them, and I became a lot more abundant.
And I'll add that it's okay to be a hobbyist, and most people start out that way, and many people stay hobbyists because it's so much easier than running a full-fledged business. And being a hobbyist is great because you can afford to do it without having to put so much pressure on yourself. And that means a lot of different types of people can help a lot of different clients. If it was only people who ran a business, there would be a much smaller pool of people who could help people.
Yeah.
But because there are a lot of people with passion and have the luxury of a different income, that means there's a lot more types of people who can become hypnotherapists without having to do the full-fledged business thing.
Right.
And therefore, a lot more people who need the help can be attracted to all those different types of hobbyist hypnotherapists. So it's a wonderful blessing that you start out as a hobbyist, because you're helping people right out of the gate who might not go to a business or anything like that.
Yeah, might have white coat syndrome or other kinds of.
Sometimes the people, I've seen this a lot actually. Sometimes the people who are the most timid won't even walk into an office.
Yeah.
They need to have a friend who is starting out as a hobbyist hypnotherapist kind of thing, and that can afford a lot of healing, and it even has for me back in the day. Mm-hmm. And it's safe. It's a safe place, and there's nothing wrong with being there, and you get to practice and incubate and help people. And if you decide you want to do it for a career, then you can start thinking about the business stuff. And yes, you will have wanted to address the ability to receive stuff before you get to that point.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that this kind of concludes our time together. Just remember, you deserve great things, so become willing to receive. Go out to hypnotherapyschool.net. We'd love to teach you to become a clinical hypnotherapist and certify you in that very helpful, very purpose-filled, very promoting, life-changing work.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty easy too.
Yeah.
Hypnotherapy is not difficult, and contrary to what some people think, you do not have to change anything about who you are as a person to become a certified hypnotherapist, or most any most any holistic certification. Doesn't mean you have to be a different person.
Yeah.
In fact, it bolsters your natural talents and skills and personality. Like I was just saying, so many different types of teachers are needed, and as soon as someone gets their certification and practices as a hobbyist at first, man, your personality is going to be a major blessing to the types of people you're going to attract. So,
agreed.
So it is you are an extension of the certification is an extension of all the wonderfulness that you will bring to the table. Your energy, your beauty, your personality, your strengths, your personality type. That's the kind of thing that makes somebody choose you over somebody else. Mm-hmm. And that's not a competition. It's just having more options means that people get to choose what resonates best for them. So you becoming a hypnotherapist is a huge honor to everyone, every life you're going to touch.
Yeah, agreed. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And you can also join us out at hypnotherapyschool.net. I'm Kyra Schaefer.
This is Todd Schaefer.
And we are out of here. See you again soon.